Hey everyone, I'm Brian. This is Home Help. Thanks for tuning in to my channel. Tonight, I'm going to talk about how to save money on your winter electric bill. Saving money is a big thing. I like to do it. I'm sure you all like to do it. Most everybody likes to try to save a dollar or two, especially when it comes to our bigger costs every month, like the electric bill that you may have, or even fuel bill. Some people may be on propane fuel out there. Some may be on natural gas in terms of heating. A lot of folks are on electric. So we're going to talk about ways to save money on your electric bill this winter. And we're starting to get to that point where a lot of the country is experiencing those cooler temperatures in the morning. I know where I live, we're getting about 50 degrees in the morning. A couple mornings we've been in the high 40s. So you definitely feel the chill in the air, and even had to kick on the furnace a few times. So number one on the list, attic insulation. This is huge. Hopefully you have it in your attic. If you haven't been up there ever, you may want to go up and check your insulation levels. But depending upon where you live in the country, you have a different level of thickness that the EPA recommends. For instance, down south, our southern states, you may need 14 to 16 inches worth. Mid-south states, you may see 16 to 18. And of course, your northern states, you may get all the way up to 32, 38, 42 inches worth of insulation. So the depth varies, but the key here is that the more insulation, the better. So if you can add 6 inches or another 12 inches of insulation to what you already have, you may be able to get that done for less than $1,000, depending on the size of your attic. And that's going to basically mirror the size of your main floor. If you have a 2,000 square foot ranch home, your attic's going to be right about 2,000 square foot as well. So now if you have a 2,000 square foot home that's stacked on top of each other, 1,000 and 1,000, you may just have a 1,000 square foot attic. So insulation prices can vary from around $1.50 to $4 a square foot. Spray foam insulation, you can go way higher. You can get up there pretty quick. So ideally, you're going to have to cost average this out. So for instance, say that you do spend, let's say, $800 on 6 inches of insulation in your attic. Now, $800 is a lot of money. You're thinking, well, why don't I just pay the heating bill with that? But here's the thing. You pay this one time, and then you start to dollar cost average that out over the next coming months. If you drop your energy bill down $50 every month, it doesn't take long to save that $800. It may take the first winter season to do that, but you will then start to see that kind of pay you back the next winter. So it may be a little bit of a cost up front. If it's $800, it could be a little bit more. It could be hard to say. And if you do it yourself, in terms of that, you can even save a little bit more money. It just depends on how much insulation that you need. So just think about your numbers there. The first season, you may break even. The second season, as it comes around, you may gain. Now remember, it also helps in the summertime. So you're going to help save cooling costs in the summer. So you're going to see this help you for 12 months, all 12 months out of the year. So attic insulation is huge. Here's a chart that gives you the environmental zones of where we live in the country. And you can see the different zones that are going on here. And where you may live, just take a look there. And then, of course, your insulation depth will correlate to what zone you're in. All right, next up, number 2, windows and doors. These are pretty simple. The older the windows, generally, the less efficiency. And you may have gaps or drafts in those windows. The single pane windows are kind of way out of circulation now, but they're still in a lot of homes, especially homes built prior to 1950. You may see single pane glass, wooden frame windows, and they may still be there. Some of them have storm windows on them, but nonetheless, they're very inefficient. So today's modern windows usually are much more efficient than the old ones, obviously. Also, just check for gaps around your doors and windows. Make sure there's no drafts. Check for gasketing. Those are really good things to check for. And you definitely want to have that because it's going to help with the heating as well. So number 2 is pretty straightforward. Number 3, ceiling fan on or off. That's a good question. Some people say, well, it's wintertime. Why would I have my ceiling fan on in the wintertime? I don't need to cool off. But think about this. The higher the ceiling, the taller the ceiling. So most standard ceilings are 8 feet. In some of your larger homes, you're going to see 10 feet maybe even 12-foot room ceilings. And then you may have a grand room. Some homes may have a tall living room, especially if a 2-story home. You may see up to 14 feet up to 18 feet on those ceilings. Now this is the ceilings. These are the ceilings that you definitely would want to consider turning your ceiling fan on. Here's a shot of a ceiling fan. This is a 14-foot ceiling. Ceiling fan is on here in the wintertime, and here's why. Because think about this: if you're in a room, okay, and this is our room, and it's a tall room. We'll say this is a 12-foot ceiling, okay, and you're heating it. Say the vents are at the ceiling up here. The vents are at the ceiling. Where does that heat want to go? That heat's going to generally stay in this upper third. It's going to be up here in the highest part of the room. Heat rises, and that's going to leave the cooler air at the level where we're at, about 6 foot. 5 to 6 feet here is going to be the cooler air. So a ceiling fan will help. It'll actually help circulate this warmer. Say this is our ceiling fan here, and we've got it on, and we're going to make it nice. There's our ceiling fan. We've got it on, but we've got it set to where it's blowing down. It's going to take this warm air, and it's going to direct it down here. It's going to direct it that way, and it's going to help pull some of that cool air. It's just going to kind of shake the jar, if you will, and that's going to help. Now think about this: the energy that you're using to run this ceiling fan is a lot less energy than your furnace kicking on. Remember, your furnace is going to be using 240 volts. This ceiling fan is going to be using 110 volts. Okay, so even if you have it on low rotation, it's going to move that air around this room and help keep that temperature more stable, therefore reducing the number of times that furnace kicks on. Maybe that furnace was kicking on five times an hour, and maybe you bump that down to 3 times an hour that it kicks on. That's 2 cycles that you're saving every hour that ceiling fan helps. So think about that. Ceiling fan on in taller rooms with the direction of that air blowing down can help you with your heating bill. So hope that's a good tip for you. If you don't have a ceiling fan, think about installing one. Now on the 8-foot ceiling, that's not going to really affect it too dramatically, but again, airflow is going to, you'll notice, you'll feel the air moving around, and you may cut down on those cycles as well. All right, number 4, the thermostat. This is a big one. A lot of folks, what's the perfect temperature? Is it 74? Is it 71? I don't know. I like to do, personally for me, our family, we do about 68 at night, 67, just depends, all the way up to maybe in the daytime, 71, 72 in the winter. Now, smart thermostats are pretty good. Here's an example of a smart thermostat. So program, with your phone, you can have them kick on and kick off during certain times of the day. It's more convenient for heating, especially if you're not home. Go ahead and drop that thermostat down to maybe 67, 65 degrees. There's no sense in it running if you're not home. And then when you get home, you may bump it back up to 71, 72, just to kind of, take the chill out of the air. So thermostats are huge. Know your setting and then adjust it accordingly. It's really gonna chew energy up, especially if you set that thermostat at 73 and then you leave all day long. Your furnace is just going to kick on all day long, and more importantly, it's going to start kicking on during our high peak hours, and that's what leads us to our last number 5 TOU programs. Any guess on that? That stands for time of use programs. A lot of electric companies around the country are offering incentives or programs of time of use. That means you can pick when you're going to use the majority of your electric. And here's what that looks like. So let's flip this over. So this is a peak usage chart. This is a general chart. This isn't for every part of the country because some peak hours are a little bit longer due to maybe being in the extreme north part of the country. Some may be a shade shorter due to being in the south. And this is winter peak usage. So from 12 a.m. to 3 p.m., it's generally pretty light. Okay, with your maximum peak hours somewhere, off-peak hours, somewhere between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. And then, of course, when everybody gets home from work, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., you start to see a lot of usage. And therefore, During this time, your rates can be up to 50% higher in this time. As a TOU program user, if you have that available to you, you can select maybe charging if you have an EV car, electric vehicle, you can select to maybe charge that during these times and save a substantial amount of money. So 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. is a great time to come in and charge your vehicles. Even if you have timers, you can set timers to other things that are dishwashers, even doing the dryer. You know, if you have electric dryers, which I would say most people do, there are a lot of gas dryers, but you can do this type of thing in these hours and save even up to 50% if you're in this program that allows you to do that. So these off-peak hours are really, really important. If at all possible, try to stay out of these times whenever you do, you know, if you're charging your car, if you're even furnace operation during these times, you may go ahead and think about setting that furnace to about 68, turning on that ceiling fan that we talked about earlier in an effort to reduce your heating cycles during this time. Remember, this is all in an effort to try to help you save some dollar bills every month. If you do some of these things, if you can do all of these things and check your house, who knows? Maybe, you know, if you're running maybe a $300 electric bill a month, I would love to see if you did some of these things. You can maybe knock that down to $200 a month. That would be awesome, and I would be so happy for you, because that's what this is all about. Now, listen, I'm not a pro. I'm not into the numbers daily. This is just common sense stuff, and stuff that I've actually implemented in my own house, and I've seen the savings. This last month, month of September, electric bill of about $140. Now that was because, I mean, we were sitting at about 75 at the daytime, and again, we had some cooler evenings. So my home was able to hold that energy, and my cycles, my heating and air cycles went down dramatically. And that's the difference. So the whole goal here is to not run your units as much as normal. We got to figure out ways to reduce the number of cycles that your unit runs, because your units, again, as we look back on this side, your air conditioning heating units, they're using this big power right here, this 240 volts, okay? Some of the appliances in your home that use this kind of power would be your AC and furnace, if they're electric, all electric, your dryer, if it's electric, your water heater, if it's electric, your range oven, if it's electric. And that's even gonna tie me back to the last one. Believe it or not, if you can get out of using your range during this time, I know a lot of people say, well, I'm making dinner, what's the deal? Believe it or not, you can make a lot of things on a grill. Believe it or not, I cook pizzas on a gas grill, hamburgers, obviously, all those kind of things. Normally, if you fire up your oven for half an hour, that's going to add up. So if you cut down using your oven during these peak times, you may be able to also knock off $10, $15, $20 a month on that electric bill. Now, I'm not saying you should cook every meal in a barbecue grill, certainly not. But here's the thing, if you have it, experiment. There's a lot of things out there, and a lot of ways you can cook on a barbecue grill to help save money. So, all right, folks, hope that helps you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm so thrilled to just try to bring these common sense tips to you, and I hope that everything's going well for you out there. I know this world we live in is pretty tough, but always remember that God loves you, and so do I. Thanks so much for watching.